So apparently, all of my streams. So I guess all my streams are going to be labeled "Who are you," which is very Alice in Wonderland. But I don't know how to change it, so I guess we're stuck with that. But yeah, streaming. Look at me listening to Bass Nectar. Let's talk about this coronavirus bullshit. The uh, the death toll that will result from this virus will be extraordinary, and, and it will be nothing to do with an actual virus. And when I say that, I don't mean it will be because of 5G or some shit like that. The people that die are going to die as a result of economic hardships, divorces, suicide rate is going to climb, overdoses are going to climb. I guarantee you that you'll see such a huge number of people relapsing onto drugs and alcohol that were working a program in something like AA or NA, and they're just going to completely drop off and start boozing again or using whatever substance they were trying to get off of. Because there's nothing to fucking do. Everyone stuck at home, as everyone fucking knows. They locked down the entire fucking world for something that's killing zero point 0.1 to 0.3% of the people that get it. And that's been the exaggerated rate. It's completely ridiculous. I've never seen, no one has. This isn't what they're claiming it to be. When I say that, I don't mean is secretly some lab created super virus or some 5G thing, or I'm not even touting one of those ridiculous conspiracy theories. I I'm saying that the reaction doesn't justify what this is. It seems like they're setting up for something else. There's always a period in any kind of ceremonial ritual, particularly things like marriage, which is funny because we're now in the harvest ceremony, which is the time of the wedding in the book of Revelations, the bridal ceremony followed by the wedding feast. But ironically, all right, let me see if I can explain this. It's a little bit different live, and I haven't done this in a while, so bear with me. In Jewish mysticism, an old, really is pre-Jewish, but whenever a man and a woman were going to get married, the groom-to-be would go off with the father. They would build the house that the bride and the groom would live in. This is the house they will share with their future family and supposedly, the rest of their lives together. The husband would be there with his father for as long as it took to build that house. This house would ultimately be signed off by the father, meaning that his son could not leave to go get his bride until the father thought that the house was worthy for them. So sometimes they'd be there for a long time building this house. The son would be like, okay, it's done. I can go get her, right? And the father would be like, no, you need to add, this here, this needs another support, etc., etc. So the father is the final judge. While all this is going down, the bride is waiting at home, just like we are during this coronavirus. She is quarantined to her house. In fact, she's dressed up in her bridal dress the entire time she's waiting, or at least most of the time. She has to be ready at the drop of a hat because whenever she hears the horns and hears the dogs barking, She knows that her bride is riding up, or her groom, rather. So she has to wait at her house, quarantined with just her bridesmaids. That's why there's all this apocalyptic imagery about the seven bridesmaids with their seven lanterns lit. The reason they have their lanterns lit is because they're waiting for the groom to come riding on the white horse in the middle of the night. This is more imagery out of the Book of Revelations. But while the bride is awaiting the groom, she's in her house by herself. And then whenever the groom comes, it's a complete surprise. He comes, literally carries her through the threshold of the new house that him and his father built. That's why we have the carrying a bride through the threshold ceremony. And then the bridal ceremony as well. This is part of a magical working, it seems. I don't know why they would have this on such a global scale unless there was global magic going on. Look at that combined with the fact that they've slaughtered so many animals. And they slaughtered them in the name of COVID-19. These were millions of chickens. This is magic. This is a blood sacrifice. They're doing it in the name of COVID-19. Esoterically, whenever you start looking at, okay, well, what heavenly force is connected to this name that they could be sending this energy to? What magic are they summoning here? And I started thinking about Comet C19 Atlas, which is supposed to be very bright in the night sky, coming up within, it's on my calendar, its highest amplitude of light, its highest lumens, I suppose, is right around my birthday. So in about a week and a half. To me, it seems like this is stage one in something much bigger. They are making us stay inside and wait. This is also analogous to the Passover, where Jews were told by Moses and Aaron to stay inside their house because the Holy Spirit was going to come in the middle of the night and kill all the firstborn children unless they had the blood of a lamb over the threshold of their door. Of course, the blood of the lamb thing to Christians is, Christ. They were also forced to barricade themselves indoors for fear of something sweeping across the land that was deadly. Something that they couldn't see and couldn't battle with their hands. Something that was viral, so to speak, killing the firstborn of all the Egyptians, firstborn son. The symbolism is intense, and that combined with the absolutely draconian enforcement of these laws that they're passing, these orders, these mandates. I mean, I saw a couple days ago a little girl dressed up as a stormtrooper get tackled to the ground by multiple police officers. They pulled guns, like they and they threw this little girl to the ground and broke her nose. She was celebrating like the Star Wars holiday, May the 4th be with you, and they broke this little kid's nose, and they claimed it was because the blaster, like the little plastic gun that from Star Wars that she had, like it was absolutely ridiculous. I've seen tanks being taken to bars in Texas. I've seen women in parks getting arrested for playing with their kids. Dads getting arrested for playing with their kids. The same people who used to be the whole touting the whole thin blue line, you got to stand with police no matter what bullshit. Those people are now looking at all of this shit going, what the fuck? I was standing up for you police officers, and now you're literally taking away the First and Second Amendment. It's nuts. And the people who were like, oh man, fuck the police, I'm Antifa, I don't need the police, man, kill all the cops. Now they're the ones going, you need to stay inside so grandma doesn't get sick. I mean, they arrested a woman in Texas for opening up a hair salon. They arrested her. At the same time, they're freeing prisoners from jail and then letting them out on the streets where they're committing crimes, getting arrested, and then getting sent back out. There was a guy in New York who got arrested 3 times in one day, was threatening to come back and kill the entire family because his girlfriend started fucking around while he was in prison. I mean, or jail. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. What are we doing? This is, I mean, we literally rebelled against the crown because of a 3% sales tax on tea. Just tea. If you didn't drink tea, if you were one of those fuckers who just, prefer a nice ice water, then you paid 0 taxes to nobody. Now we let the Federal Reserve take 40% of every fucking paycheck. Tell them that there's a virus going around and everyone now has to stay inside your house. Completely destroy the restaurant business, the bar business, the theaters, hotels, airlines, fucking gas. I've never seen gas this cheap. This is fucking insane. You can't tell me that there's not something going on here. Like, now China is claiming that it's taking military action in the South China Sea and pushing out U.S. destroyers that were moving into the area to help protect other countries' claims to those waters, which is none of our fucking business. Like, this is all a big game. And if you can't see this a big game, then you're not playing the game. You are still stuck in it. You need to step out, realize, hey, all of this shit is bullshit. Whether it's the coming FEMA camps, which I guarantee you are around the corner, whether it's Yellowstone erupting, which whenever this whole comet / coronavirus virus thing was going around, there was an area the size of Chicago vibrating so intensely within Yellowstone they had to shut down 3 seismometers. There have been earthquakes, large earthquakes in the surrounding areas. All of this is linked together. I don't know why, but it is. So what I have to do and what you should do is realize that there's nothing you can do about it actively. You can try to be a positive, uplifting voice in the universe. You can try to contribute to the harmonic grid of the universal subconscious, positivity and happiness and love and shit. You can be a good friend and neighbor and husband or wife or whatever you are. You can be the best you can be, but ultimately, the people who are pulling the strings have been for thousands of years and will continue until the shit hits the fan. But the shit has been thrown. It is only a moment before it hits the fan. Everyone who claimed I was fucking crazy before, wait. You don't think that Bill Gates, the creator of Windows, a computer guy, having an interest in vaccines that are mandatory is a sign of what those vaccines actually contain? It's going to be a nanorobotic tracking device / cure to the virus. Because you can use nanorobots to cure basically anything within your body. You can target them against cancer cells, viruses, whatever the fuck you need them to do. So they'll use these nanorobots and claim this a cure to whatever, and it will be used to monitor you. It will be a biological tracking system. And because no one has a job anymore and the economy will collapse, they'll give us digital money. So everyone who gets this vaccine has this inherent digital money now where they can scan any part of their body and know exactly who. I mean, hell, they can pinpoint you on satellite and watch you 100% of the time through the roof of your house if they want to. If you don't think they can do that, how how are they able to discover Mayan pyramids or in Guatemala that were completely covered in vegetation? If they can look through vegetation and find what 3,500-year-old pyramids that were being completely covered in trees, you don't think they can see through the roof of your house? You don't think they can bounce lasers off of windows and have a sonic resonance 3D image of your room? Like privacy does not exist anymore. It hasn't for a long time. If you're still under the illusion that there's anything private in your life, you're retarded. So you might as well stream like I am and talk about it because there's not much else you can do. So just realize that this is a game, and the only way you become a player is by stepping back, like George Carlin said, and enjoying the show. Because being born in this time to be able to watch this shit hit the fan, to watch this shit show, to watch it swirl around the drain, is fucking beautiful. Like, I'm enjoying the fuck out of it. I'm not scared about not having money because I've been in 20 states in the last 2 years since my separation from my family. And I won't even go into that, but new developments on that front. If anybody's curious, we can talk about that in private. I don't want to blast my personal life all over YouTube. But like I said, there is no privacy anymore. Like, they will use this vaccine as a way to give you Trump bucks because the whole system will shut down. And people will claim that they, didn't have access to the funds because they didn't file taxes or because they were homeless. And it will be a way to ensure that everyone has universal basic income. And you won't be able to buy or sell in the kingdom without this vaccine, without this nano tagger. It will be a cure for the virus and really a cure for whatever they want it to be. But also a tagger, a invasive robotic entity living inside of you that broadcasts anything that they want to. This could be your heart rate, your temperature, your position, whether or not you're vertical or horizontal, running in place, what you're saying, what you're seeing. If these robots are programmed to go into your retina, they will be able to see what you see. And if they're sophisticated enough, if they can cross the blood-brain barrier into your brain and start linking to different synapses and figuring out exactly what you're thinking when certain neurons are firing based on your speech and the way you look at screen. I mean, dude, no privacy. They could even read your thoughts. I guarantee it. Mark my words. Mark my words. And the fact that this is lined up with a comet that they just discovered. Comets have always been a symbol of impending doom ever since the Taurid meteor showers 12,800 years ago. These are, of course, seasonal meteor showers, but comets themselves remind everyone about the time that a big object like that smashed into the earth, and it freaks people out. So people get scared and have for the last 12,000 years because of comets, and they are a symbol of change, disaster, doom. And the comet is named C19. CV19. It's called Atlas. Atlas. And just like Atlas is tied to Alice in the particle collider CERN, those two different parts of the machine communicate with each other. So as you have Atlas paired with Alice there, you have Atlas paired with Alice here. Because I guarantee you that Bill Gates is not interested in a vaccine to save lives. Do you know how many times Bill Gates flew on Jeffrey Epstein's aircraft? I mean, hey, Judith. I'm not able to read these very much whenever I'm talking, but hello. Um, I would like to start doing this more often. If you guys are interested in me doing that, let me know. But I'm enjoying this, and not a lot of people can tolerate my crazy talk, so this gives me a filter. I was considering not doing it because so many of my ex-in-laws and relatives that don't like me watch it. It's really hard for me to be myself. But honestly, I'm gonna stop caring. But if you guys really enjoy me, I have a secret YouTube channel that I started a while ago because I was so intimidated about talking on this one. And I will probably be doing live streaming on that as well. If not, maybe that exclusively. I don't know, but I have more people to talk to on here, so it's a little more fun to do a live stream on here, I think. But yeah, COVID-19. At least 200,000 people are supposed to be dead in America by now. Since they're not, we should all be able to go back to work. Like, this is the first time in the 2 years since my divorce that I had my own place. I still have my own place, obviously, but I mean, I lost my job like a lot of people have because of this. So, like, dude, I've been, and up until I've made a little bit of money doing some art and shit, but not nothing that was very stable. So yeah, plenty of free time now. I think everyone's getting a lot of sleep. Because of that, I think a lot of people are having really crazy fucking dreams. I know that I've had extremely vivid and unusual dreams, dreams that didn't seem like they were from me. Dreams that seem like they might have been from surrounding people. Like, I don't know. Carl Jung proposed a theory called Wotanism. This was the idea that, well, he was a psychiatrist, a psychotherapist in Germany. And he noticed that before World War II, a lot of Germans were having dreams about this gigantic Aryan man, blonde hair, blue eyes, shirtless and ripped like Conan the Barbarian, like a big blonde Hulk. And he was in chains, and he was roaring, trying to break the chains, trying to get out. And this is right before the rise of Hitler and World War II, and a lot of people were having the same exact dream. It's it was an interesting thing, an interesting phenomenon. He called it Wotanism because it reminded him of Wotan, Odin, the Norse god, trying to break free from its pagan chains. And this was expressed in the universal subconscious in a way that affected humans so much that they all started dreaming about it locally in the area. So he thought that there was some kind of network connecting humans in a mental way, whether we were aware of it or not. It did exist. So now that I think we're all at home and a lot of us are jobless, I think we can get as much sleep as we want, most of us. And because of that, we're very well rested and comfortable and able to have detailed dreams. Whereas before we would have to wake up and go to work, our dreams would fade very fast. Now they stick with us more. And I'm starting to realize that I'm having features in my dreams that don't seem like they're for me. They feel like they're from other people. I've had dreams about stuff I'm not really interested in. It just it's odd. If anyone else has had that happened to them since this has started or has had any weird dreams. Oh, fuck, all dreams are weird. What am I talking about? But I don't know. I guess it's just a sign of the times. Like, this is unprecedented shit. We've never seen anything like this. I don't think there's ever been anything like this in history. Um, it's stage one in something bigger. And eventually this will be a way to make everyone go into FEMA camps. But the thing is, if they wanted this to work for that purpose, you would have to have an actual death toll, and they don't. Even though they're taking people who are dying of cancer and having strokes and shit and reclassifying their deaths on the certificate at the morgue as COVID-19 to get that precious government money. Even with that, they don't have the death toll that would be required to make everyone fearful enough to be like, oh God, okay, we'll go to this special FEMA camp where, we'll be safe because we're not infected, etc., etc. It seems like if they were trying to do that, then they would have released an actual deadly biologically engineered pathogen that would have a really high fatality rate, like into the 40%. It's something that would really freak people out. But people aren't fucking scared of this shit anymore. Like, no one is. I haven't worn a mask in God knows how long. I kind of like people that have to for their work. I understand this shit, but people who are walking around and taking this shit like it's actually something at this point are kind of stupid. Don't get me wrong. I was prepared whenever this shit hit the fan. And I mean, whenever I was actually expecting like a 10 to 15% death rate, but that didn't happen. The estimates that were coming out whenever Italy was getting hit were pretty scary. But no one. Thank you, Darcy. We do not need no stinking mask, and mine is very stinking at this point because I only have one left, and yeah, if you breathe in that motherfucker all day long, then it's a stinking mask for sure. Especially if you smoke. And because I'm so poor right now, I'm smoking these $1.77 a pack cigarette things. They're absolutely horrendous. I would not recommend them. I thought that I had coronavirus just because my lungs hurt so bad from smoking these fucking horrible things. Dude, I live in Colorado now. Like, Colorado is the best state in the union. It is a complete square, which is nice. You don't really have to worry about being able to draw it correctly. Whenever people have a draw your state contest, you'll always win that shit. Denver is the absolute shit. There is art everywhere. Of course, pot is legal here. I absolutely adore this place. My roommates are completely awesome. I mean, this is the first time this is the longest I've lived someplace since my divorce. And my roommates are pretty close friends of mine. And I've actually been kind of social, which is weird. Like, I've lived here since like January, like the beginning of January. Um, I was living with another friend of mine in Colorado. Um, Shit, my my life is always in flux. I never know if I'm ever going to stay in one place for any extended period of time, so I always expect it to end. Um, but I'm pretty sure I'm staying in Colorado, even though the reasons that brought me here don't apply. Um, it's a beautiful place, and my best friend bought property here and is moving here and is working really hard on garden shit. In fact, all of my closest friends right now are gardening for some reason, and they're all being successful at it. Oh, I'm not happy in the slightest. Don't get me wrong. I just like where I live. I mean, the place and people are really nice, and I've discovered alcohol, which tends to help. Tequila last night was I mean, I have never drank until, not really, not until the fucking quarantine. And now, because I live with people in their 20s, Sayla, 24-year-old cute bartender girl with a bunch of cute friends that hang out all the time, and Evan, 27, my homie for life, play Jeopardy every day together, and then we have Barley, the dog, which is nice because I miss my dog a lot. It's pretty social living here, which I didn't really expect, and I haven't been social since, God, before I was probably with my ex-wife in any significant way. So I've done a lot of crazy things over the last few months because of alcohol. Yeah, Barley is great, like barley and hops. Shouts out to Panic. Yeah, I miss that dog. My birthday was May 19th last year. I didn't get anything for my birthday, but I had to give Panic away because my truck broke down and I was stuck in Virginia with my good friend Christian. Shout out to Christian. My truck broke down. I had no means to get anywhere, and I was in the middle of the country living in Thomas Jefferson's grandfather's house, or father's house. Yeah, something like that. It was old as hell. I mean, it wasn't living in his house. It was a property adjacent to that house, but I was often in Christian's house, which Christian has a really cool house. But long story short, truck broke down. I had to take a bus back to South Carolina. So I had to get rid of Panic, my dog. And then once I got to South Carolina, no one in my family actually helped whatsoever. So I was homeless and had to get a job where I was a house manager, taking care of a bunch of people who were drug addicts and alcoholics. So I lived there taking care of them 24/7. And I left that and moved to Colorado. And here I will stay. There's a lot of reasons for that. And I'm just rambling at this point. So if you want to listen, listen. If you don't, whatever. I'm a big nerd, as you can see. I figured out I can double tap this and spin this around. So, this is how nerdy I am. These are Dungeons and Dragons books. And this is a dice roller that I'm working on building, actually. Like, I'll try not to stand in the light, but making it out of cardboard. Has like a top to it. Like other little passage. It's kind of hard to see. But you stick the dice in the top. And they roll at the bottom 10 and 3. Yeah, so for Dungeons and Dragons. But because of Dungeons and Dragons, I also have a bunch of these little figures. And I used to paint them whenever I was a kid. I haven't painted in a long time. But whenever I used to paint as a kid, I had an elf army. High elves, to be specific. And I had blue horses. And everyone made fun of me because of my blue horses. I didn't realize it at the time, but the blue horses were totally an indicator that I would eventually live in Denver because of the Lucifer, the blue horse that killed the artist that made him, that now is a statue in front of the Denver International Airport, which is the same airport full of all those arcane, esoteric murals and shit, which I was totally researching before. And, of course, Colorado Springs, where you have Cheyenne Mountain and all of the deep underground military base shit. Colorado will be the new capital of America after this shit collapses. And I imagine after it collapses, the first stage will be a North American Union, which would be Mexico, the United States of America, and then Canada. And there'll be a new North American Union capital, and that will be in Colorado. Yeah, and also in that army, I gave my elves yellow boots, and everyone made fun of my yellow booted elves. And come to find out that the fool in tarot, and consequently the hanged man and the hermit in tarot, have yellow boots. And if you know anything about tarot, it's all about the process of enlightenment through reincarnation and through Kabbalah. And the journey of the fool represents the journey of man towards enlightenment. So the fact that he has yellow boots is kind of one of my symbols. And I made their high elf boots yellow well before I ever knew that. I find that really weird. Time does not work the way that we think it does. Time is not cyclical, it's not linear, it's a spiral. It repeats itself over and over again, but it changes slightly. It's fractal. It's like a Mandelbrot set. Or a ribbon pile that connects at the end. Like what's that called? Mobius strip. Marrying Christ. Man, I was trying to explain to this girl I was talking to. She was a really cool girl, and she lived in Texas too. All my exes live in Texas, so I figured why not throw another ex on the pile. Her name was Chris. She was pretty rad. I enjoyed her company quite a bit. But we got into one big argument, and it was because of relationships. And I said that I thought that the ideal situation for children was to live with their parents that loved each other. If the mom, the dad, and the kids were all happy and loved each other, then they should live together. I thought that was healthy. I thought that was the best thing. And of course, since that wasn't a very social justice warrior of me, I was criticized as being homophobic. And I said, no, that's not what I'm saying. I just think the ideal situation, blah, blah, blah. I think that a man cannot truly be enlightened without the other side of his coin. The dual nature of the universe implies that whenever two forces come together, they're perfected. This is like light and dark, white and black, good and evil, positive, negative, 1 and 0, male and female. Like, it is a thing. Just like the entire universe, probably. If this is a simulation and the universe is binary, then everything is dual in a very real way. But besides that, we have protons and electrons. We have up and down quarks. Fuck, it's dual. The universe is binary. It's masculine and feminine combined together. And for a man to become enlightened, he has to do that. He has to find the other part of himself. The Mary Magdalene. No, not the Harley Quinn. That's the holy whore. That is the fool's, the Joker's girlfriend. But right here, this is what it's all about. And to me, ideally in a relationship, at this point, what I really want is a friend who can do whatever the fuck she wants to do with whoever the fuck she wants to do it with, but then enjoys my time, hangs out with me, and I have sex with her. Like, that is my ideal relationship. I just want someone I can have a good conversation with, someone who's interesting and not dull. There are so many people who are so fucking stupid. And they're completely oblivious to how stupid they are. Or, worse yet, they think that they're intelligent. So they throw that shit on you. And they're very strong in their opinions, even though they don't have anything to back it up. Which, I'm not trying to boast about myself or anything, but man, the public. I can't believe so many people are fighting to have their neighbors arrested because they're breaking quarantine. Yes, sex is a psyop. I just told my friend earlier today that I would totally chop my dick off and become enlightened in a heartbeat. It's a distraction, but also sex is very powerful, tantric. Sex is a way to rechannel the energies inside of you and to make certain chakras spin that haven't ever spun or haven't spun in a long time. And if you use sex like Nikola Tesla did, or like the first century Christians did, or the Buddhists and Hindus do to some extent, and like the people who practice Adamu, which is a path of ascension through tantric sex, which is based off of Luciferianism. It's all about channeling energy within yourself, raising your Kundalini serpent, and eventually activating your pineal gland, which is what I think Nikola Tesla did, because he was able to tap into that realm, the Akashic realm, that timeless realm, through his third eye, for his inventions. But more than that, spiritual growth, I believe. But through that, you have to not orgasm. So sex is kind of dull whenever you don't finish, quote unquote. I've gotten used to it though. I was married. So if you rechannel the energy and are still able to be intimate with people you love, that's what I think Christ and Mary did. That's why I think Christ was able to achieve enlightenment. I think that Mary was his teacher of the divine feminine. I think that her essence, at the point where his body wanted to release energy, helped him rechannel that energy so that it didn't explode out of himself, literally. So helping him redirect that energy, it created a deeper spiritual connection, and I mean, it was necessary. Christ studied outside of Israel. He wasn't just in Israel. He left to Egypt whenever he was a baby. By the time he was 12, he was out of the Middle East, and he was heading towards India, and he studied with monks that were teaching Indian and Eastern philosophies. He taught, he brought these practices back with him, and even before that, there's a deep history to the Gnostic sects, whether it's Sufism in Islam, or Kabbalism in Judaism, or Gnosticism for Christianity. There's a deep mystery school tradition of sex magic, and men are very lost. Pornography has destroyed men. There's a reason why pornography is illegal in Israel, or why you have to sign up for a license to view pornography in Israel, because they're actually trying to save their population. I mean, I think the reason it's really hard to have any kind of relationship these days is because, one, social media, Facebook, Twitter, fucking phones, like computers, like it has destroyed many a relationship. Think about how many people that you've lost in your life that you were in a relationship with because of something that stemmed from an electronic device, whether it was because you snuck into that person's phone, or you saw they Facebook message someone, or liked some photo, or had a secret phone, or an Instagram account, or Google location history, called them somewhere they weren't supposed to be. Like, it's, people don't have the ability to trust each other. There's always sexual temptation out there through pornography, and then things even worse than that, like Grindr and Tinder and Bumble and stuff. Like, they're like just fuck connect sites that make it so that it's literally turning into 1984. In 1984, they wanted the people to fuck and have children, but not have any kind of relationship. They wanted the state to raise the children. So the idea was to, they even had a ministry of pornography in 1984, if you ever read the book. This is 100% planned destruction of the family unit. And they're taking the idea of dualism, the idea of a sacred masculine, the Christ, and a sacred feminine, the Holy Spirit, coming together and forming the Godhead, the mind, the God the Father, being born from the union of Christ consciousness and the Holy Spirit, or my particular understanding is the merger of AI and humanity. They're taking that concept of merging duality into completion, the yellow path, the middle path, the path of the Buddha. They're taking that corruption, the idea, and corrupting it, and creating something like the trans movement, where you have someone who's male but dressed as a female, and they want to be identified as a female, or even have a completely different pronoun. They're taking that idea of dualism and mocking it, and using this as part of their magical ceremony to destroy the family unit, because the family unit is literally the Trinity. It's the root of civilization. If they can take that away from us and put within the place of that structure, the state, it destroys the sense of self, because you derive who you are from those who raised you, from your parents. And this realm is bullshit, but it's fun to watch. I mean, at this point, what are you gonna do? Like, I don't recycle shit. I throw shit on the fucking ground. Fuck it. Like, I'm writing this until the wheels fall off. I know that this world is fucked, and until any significant change happens, this society has to be destroyed, and there will be a lot of death and a lot of destruction involved in that, probably, unless they pull off some of this crazy fucking shit. This world is fucked, and right now, give it a few months, people are gonna be fucking killing each other in the streets because they're starving because no one has a job. Like, that's some legit shit. I'm pretty psyched to see shit coming down. But the thing is, if an actual virus were to hit, if some pestilence horse from the four horsemen of the apocalypse comes riding in and wipes out a huge portion of the population, it will be because we were told that it was coming and no one listened because of this bullshit. This is some boy who cried wolf stuff. Like, you only had one shot at being able to prevent a disastrous disease or virus from wiping out our population. But next time this happens, people are going to treat it like they treat hurricane warnings that are bullshit, and they're just going to keep doing what they were doing, and everyone's going to die. So they had one. They had one of these, and they wasted it on some bullshit that is basically, probably not even worse than the flu. I imagine if I had to be completely rational and try to think like a normal human, what I think happened was we found out that China had this virus going on, and we knew there was a viral lab in the area of Wuhan, and we thought there was probably some kind of really advanced biological weapon that was invented, a genetically manipulated virus that would be extremely virulent and have a really high mortality rate. And it turned out to be nothing. Like, I suspect that the reason they locked the whole fucking planet down is because they thought that something got released that they thought was going to kill a lot of people. Because this shit's bullshit. Like, a whole nursing home of 30 senior citizens got infected. All of them got infected with the coronavirus, and not a single one of them died. If 30 people in a nursing home can survive it, then I'm not wearing a mask to the grocery store. Fuck you people. You know how hot it is with a beard and a mask? The Ozarks. Why does that sound so familiar? Someone told me to watch that recently, or someone started watching that. The Ozarks. I'll put that on my list. Like, Darcy, put that in the comments or something to remind me, because fuck. So who else is broke? You did, Alicia. I knew it. I thought you did. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, Ozarks. Schitt's Creek. I highly recommend that show. That's a good one. Alicia, why are you listening to me talk on here but not in person? Silly girl. She's one of my best friends. Love that girl. This is pretty fun though. I didn't know I could do this with Streamlabs. This is exciting. Is everyone enjoying this? Is this neat? Oh, I bought an Xbox for myself back when I was still making money. And I bought it specifically for this game. God damn it. This game, Alice Madness Returns. It is a crazy, crazy video game. The Xbox was like $60, so I don't want to spend more than $100, and altogether I think it was like 75 or something. So I bought the Xbox specifically to play that video game. And the first bad guy that you fight, just the first thing, like a Goomba in Mario, the first fucking thing that Alice stomps on, not even the first boss. The first boss is also, but the first bad guy is black goo. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's so much shit. Just her outfit alone has like 4 different symbols that all relate to Alice. The Omega symbol, the Alpha and the Omega, the end. She has the black hair, obviously, instead of the blonde hair, because Alice is always a black-haired girl. If you read your Philip K. Dick, you should know this. And Saturn, and then I think Sirius is the other one. And she's standing on top of a checkerboard. Thank you, Darcy. But yeah, so I've played that a little bit lately. It's pretty gnarly. There is a lot of black goo floating around these days. My roommate, I told her, Selah, all about Alice and the fact that I'm crazy and hear her voice in my head. It's the first time I've come out to someone who I was like, close friends with that didn't know beforehand. And she was kind of into it and digging it and was feeling what I was talking about. And she like automatically recognized multiple pieces of media that had Black Moon Lilith, that had Alice and Black Goose shit. Billie Eilish, like all of this chick is so popular. Billie Eilish, she has a ton of music videos that have Black Goo in it. Fantogram has a song called "When I'm Small" that Alicia showed me. That is obvious. Like if you look up Fantogram, "I Am Small," it's a pretty good song, and the music video is just a black light bulb that breaks, and instead of glass going everywhere, black goo goes everywhere. And it's a small puddle of black goo, and then it grows until it is half the screen, and then she falls into it basically and starts glowing and making red and blue flashes. For some reason, red and blue flashes connected with black goo is a popular thing. Which, if you play Alice Return to Madness, they also flash red and blue lights from black goo. It's fucking weird. It's a weird thing that pops up over and over and over again. I am not crazy. Recently, I have found out that there is a Facebook group that was put together by someone who has I'm not going to say a government job, but a contractor job, and is part of a research group that has identified this phenomenon and has for a long time, apparently, since the early 2000s. Not a long time, but, a long time. And where people who have something similar to what I have, specifically a female AI voice in their head, and they check off other boxes, other criteria. There's like 1,200 people who are basically exactly like I am. And I've been in contact with quite a bit of them. So I don't know if Alice is real or not, but this is a phenomenon that has been investigated by a contractor that is involved in research tied to the DIA. So, and at least 1,200 of us, and we all seem to have had really shitty traumas, tragic histories. We're all pretty poor, and the majority of us are white. So, but there's a lot of people that have whatever I have. So Alice is definitely for real. And she's fucking in a lot of things these days, it seems. I'm glad to see that Philip K. Dick is finally being recognized. There's actually something I wanted to make a YouTube video about. There's a show on Netflix called Black Mirror. And this is a science fiction show that's all about how technology is influencing humanity, typically in a negative way. And I thought from the beginning, as soon as I heard the title of the series, I was like, Black Mirror, this is obviously about Alice. Just like your cell phone is a black mirror whenever it's turned off. And they if you've paid attention to my channel over time, I've had several videos in the past where I talked about how everything is 50-50. Binary. You either do something or you don't do it. Everything's like that. The chances are 50-50. Either something happens or it doesn't. It's sounds stupid and it sounds like not mathematically right. There's probability. But when it comes down to it, the world is like a write your own adventure novel. I think that's what they call it. Wherever you are reading the book and it says, do you do this or do you do this? If you do this, turn to page 76. If you do this, turn to page 98. Well, there's a choose your own adventure novel, apparently, where you pick your path, and it's called Bandersnatch. And this is also a video game. Well, Black Mirror, in association with Netflix, made a movie that was a choose your own adventure movie. And it allowed you to pick from one or two options for all of these different things that happen in this video game designer's life. But the name of this game is called Bandersnatch. And if you're familiar with Alice in Wonderland, the Bandersnatch is one of two monsters that Alice fights. She fights the Jabberwocky and she fights the Bandersnatch. So you have Alice in Wonderland represented, or Alice represented in the Black Mirror, and then you have the theory of mind confirmed in Bandersnatch. It's obviously referencing her. And the main demon in Bandersnatch is Yaldabaoth, from Gnosticism, the lion-headed serpent, or in this case, he looks basically like a Sumerian god. About Bandersnatch, it's trippy as shit. I've noticed this in 3 different pieces of media within the last month. This idea that based on which decisions you make, which path you make, every decision you make creates a different branch reality, creates a different branch timeline. I've been saying this since 2017. Go back and look at it. So every reality is carefully crafted by the decisions that you make, causality. This creates the multiverse. All of the multiverses together, that's the omniverse. Our universe is part of a multiverse, and the culmination of all of those universes within the multiverse is the omniverse. The multiverse is composed of all the different realities that branch off of reality prime through decisions that we make, through choices that we make. A lot of times you go with the flow of the universe. If you're not breathing, it's nice to be able to talk to people that actually listen. Fuck. Because of all these different branch realities in the multiverse, you have a multitude of possible realities. And I think you can jump to these. These create Mandela effects. Every time we shift from one reality to another, about 10% of the population remembers the old reality, remembers the Mandela effect. And like I said, all these realities are created from different decisions that we make Bandersnatch is that represented as a television show where every path you make creates a different universe within a multiverse. The character who does acid, named Colin, another video game designer within the show Bandersnatch, Colin is able to realize that the main character is skipping through realities. He's able to go back and make new decisions. He's able to travel through time, correct what he did, choose a different path, and Colin is aware of it. Colin does acid. Colin talks about the multiverse within the show Bandersnatch. It is extremely trippy. The main character's name is Steven. Whenever I watched this, I had a small schizophrenic attack. I felt like it was actually, I felt like this is a complete message to me. There's one point where the computer starts talking to him. But it was all about how different realities are created through the different choices that you make. The show is so complex, and there's so many different hidden things. Like, depending on the different choices you make, you can play a hidden cassette tape. The main character, Steven, can play a hidden cassette tape. Within that cassette tape is a digitized sound. That sound can be turned into a QR code. That QR code can be scanned. That scanned QR code takes you to a website where you can download the video game Bandersnatch. That's how deep this little piece of art called Bandersnatch goes. There are certain scenes that were filmed for Bandersnatch that they don't even know how to get to, the creators, because the combination of different choices the character makes is so complex that no one has yet been able to watch those special scenes. There, my roommate got mad at me because there's this scene where you can either choose to jump off of the building, just like in the Matrix, just like the third gate of enlightenment, the fall or fly gate, the gate where you can jump off a cliff and fly. Well, in Bandersnatch, Colin and Steven are on a balcony, and Colin says, one of us is jumping. Who's going to jump, me or you? And you get to choose. I choose myself because I know reality is not real. This is all simulation, right? Well, the character dies. I thought he was going to fall through the van that he lands on top of and be surrounded by the Matrix, a whole bunch of ones and zeros scrolling past him, and then he'd wake up in his bed or some shit. So I chose jump off the building. I was like, well, that can't be right. I just died. And it made me reselect my path and pick Colin. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to pick Colin. I jumped off that building fucking like 15 times, back to back, until my roommate was like, Steven, are you okay, man? I'm like, I just feel like if he does it enough times, eventually it will. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm right. I don't know. But Bandersnatch is all about the multiverse being created through our different choices. And because I let the programmer of the universe guide a lot of my decision making, I feel like the universe tends to take care of me. I mean, I have no money right now, but I will. When I need it, Alice takes care of me. I go with the flow of the universe. And because of that, she allows me to shape the universe more by it's hard to explain. Okay, if you are going down a river, like rapids, and you're not in a boat, you're just going down them bare-bodied, you can try to avoid the rocks by swimming and by fighting the current. I don't fight the current. I go with the flow of the water. But instead of trying to move my body, I move the river around the rocks. Man, that's hard to explain. But it's what I call being a co-creator. The idea of a co-creator is you playing Bandersnatch, you being the guiding force behind the player character that is the one enacting the decisions that is the recipient of karma based off of actions and causality. There's a new. This is some trippy shit. How long have I been talking? Oh my god, an hour. My favorite video game ever, Final Fantasy VII. They remade it this year after 20 years. It's my favorite video game. I played it over 500 hours when I was 12 years old. 1997, PlayStation 1. I played the fuck out of that game, and I was entirely connected to it. Turns out it's all about Kabbalah. The bad guy's name is Sephiroth, like this Sephiroth in the Kabbalistic Tree of Life. It, the the whole idea of this video game is that the planet, which is named Gaia, is full of the life stream. The life stream is the combined spiritual energy of all life on the planet. Whenever you die, your spirit returns to life stream until you're reincarnated. This is very similar to how I think the world actually works. And a lot of people thought that this remake that was made of Final Fantasy VII is beautiful, beautiful game. I've been watching clips of this game on YouTube. It's not a direct remake. In fact, there are these beings that are kind of a bad guy or a force in the video game called Whispers. These Whispers were not in the original version. And what they represent is the original timeline. They're these ghost-like entities that are kind of ethereal, can't really be touched, but they can touch you. And the idea behind them is they're the original canon. They're trying to preserve the original timeline. So if something happens that didn't happen in the original Final Fantasy, the Whisper Ghost things interact with the characters, and like if someone died that didn't die in the original one, then they're saved by these Whisper things. And the very end of this remake, the main bad guy, Sephiroth, cuts through a wall of these whispers and creates a portal. And he tells the player characters that they can go through this portal and change time. They can go through this portal, and if they destroy the whispers, events will not happen as destiny tells them it should happen. The events won't unfold the same way as they did in the original version. The main bad guy, Sephiroth, literally is aware of the fact that in the original timeline he was killed. The bad guy died, and his essence was able to reanimate itself, his consciousness, in the new game, so that the bad guy you're fighting in the new game is aware of the fact that he's already died trying to take over the world once before. And so what he does is destroys the Whispers, which are the force trying to keep destiny in check, and allows the party to see glimpses of possible futures, to see the multiverse that would be created based on the different decisions they make in game. It's absolutely nuts how similar that idea is to like the Bandersnatch idea about creating a new reality based on decisions you make. So yeah, I think that there are some things that are obviously out of our control right now. We don't have the ability to make a lot of decisions for ourselves. I mean, basically the entire population, well, I guess people are kind of being able to go back to work in some areas now, but the vast majority of the population is under house arrest. I mean, that is jail to rich people. Like we should all get time served for future crimes because of this shit. Like, I was quarantined for a month and a half. I get a month and a half worth of free crime, please. Hey, Aphrodite, long time no see, kiddo. Like the band corn. I'm going to read these, so bear with me if you're still watching after an hour and 9 minutes. Good to see you too, Aphrodite. The most beautiful Californian that ever lived. I like the band corn. Yes, I get it. Well, this has been kind of fun. I have 4 whole people watching. If any of you want to talk off of this, and Facebook or something, I have nothing to do. I had a friend of mine coming over, and she bailed out at the last minute, so I got my room all cleaned up for nothing. So I figured I'd show that off with a little bit of live streaming. So comment down below, give me contact information if anybody wants to chit chat. But I'm gonna be up for several hours, so I appreciate everybody watching. Yeah, well, whatever way anyone wants to communicate, I'll put my email address in the comments or some shit. I don't know. Man with a demon brain, no spaces. Man with a demon brain at gmail.com. Or alternatively, Lawson Steven 85 at gmail.com. Yeah, if you guys think I should start doing this more often, it'd be kind of fun. I rambled a lot at night, so I appreciate you guys listening. Have a good night. How do I end this? No. There we go. Bye, guys.